This week on Today's Air Force, tips on how to take advantage of your post-9/11 GI Bill, and we'll see how airmen support humanitarian missions at home and overseas.
People know that when they're going out recreating, if they get lost or in distress, they can count on us to come and look for them.
We'll have all those stories and much more right now on Today's Air Force. Hello and welcome to Today's Air Force. I'm Staff Sergeant Sean Hostetler. Department of Defense officials have selected 5 sites in the U.S. to evaluate as candidates for missile defense locations. The move follows a congressional requirement passed as part of the 2013 National Defense Authorization Act. To find out if your base is one of the potential sites, just visit af.mil. Thinking about using your GI Bill to send your kids to college? Well, you better do your homework. AFPC officials want to clear up misconceptions on post-9/11 GI Bill transfers. While most airmen think they can wait until retirement to transfer the benefit, the opposite is true. AFPC Education Services and Benefits Chief Bruce Hausman says the old reduced service commitment periods expired in July. Now anyone who applies for transfer of benefits incurs a 4-year active duty service commitment. The soonest an airman can transfer benefits is after 6 years of service, so if you've hit that mark, you might want to get that done. For mentors and supervisors, knowing how to help your airmen maximize the benefits of their service is a key component to being a good leader. We had a chance to sit down with the commander of Air Force District of Washington, Major General Sharon Dunbar, to get her perspective on what it takes to be a good leader, successful airman, and how to develop such characteristics within yourself.
You know, anything's possible. When I first came in, I was on the 5-year plan of paying back my education and leaving after 5 years, and here I am several decades later still serving, because it has been amazing to be able to work with such fine military members and civilians, and there is no other organization in the United States that probably the world that comes close to the Armed Forces of America in terms of what we do and who we do it with.
Okay, so we've got some incredible footage for you here. What you're watching is real footage of a plane crash that happened in Alaska. The wreckage and survivors were recovered by the Alaska Rescue Coordination Center. The Air Force-led unit has saved more than 2,000 lives since its creation. In this next story, we'll find out just what it takes to accomplish this mission as we hear first-hand accounts from crash survivors and their rescuers.
Since July of '94, the guardsmen here have been on console 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing this service for the citizens of the state of Alaska and also for the military members that are on duty 24 hours a day. It's an extremely rewarding mission. It's been a long history, but the last 18 years here with Guard.
As seamless as it is, and like I say, we train all the time for this stuff, and we're a bit inoculated to it, but you know, at night we do sit and think about the gravity and intensity of the things that we are asked to do, but it's always in hindsight. I do it just because I think it's a very virtuous job, you know, to be able to do things that I've trained my whole life at. I mean, I've been in the military 20 years, you know, and to use those things for virtuous activity to save other human beings, I think it gives back to you quite a bit. You know.
Helicopter crews to maintenance to forward surgical teams at the hospitals to, I mean, everybody. I mean, it is a completely total team concept. It takes everybody to get the job done and the mission accomplished. And it's just, you know, it's not about one individual. It's about everybody.
it means the world to me in order to that they were on call, that there was someone for my dad to call in the wee hours of the morning to help get out here and get me off the mountain. A life that was saved, but also because I was saved, I have two beautiful girls now, and I have a lovely wife. And the spider effect as it goes out, and all the lives that are affected, in addition to the one life that may have been saved.
Coming up, we'll take a look at what's making headlines across the Air Force and see how airmen contribute to humanitarian missions across the world when today's Air Force returns. Welcome back to today's Air Force. Let's get straight to it and take a look at the headlines.
With the headlines, I'm Senior Airman Alina Richard. Air Force Chief of Staff General Mark Welsh III gave remarks at the 2013 Air Force Association Air and Space Conference and Technology Expo, discussing the service's air power and warfighting capabilities across its core missions. A routine flying mission became a significant achievement for the Missouri Air National Guard when Major Luke Jane surpassed 1,000 flying hours in the B-2 Spirit. Congratulations to the former Secretary of the Air Force, Michael Donnelly, who became the 9th inductee into the Air Force's Order of the Sword. This prestigious award was founded by the enlisted force to recognize and honor military senior officers and civilians for their significant contributions to the Air Force. That does it for the headlines. I'm Senior Airman Alina Richard.
While most international attention is focused on U.S. military action under the scope of conflict, the men and women of the armed forces bring more than war fighting to the table. For our next story, we'll travel across the world to Sri Lanka, where a joint team works tirelessly to fight against the remnants of a civil war.
Training of the Sri Lankans on unexploded ordnance identification, as well as IED procedures and booby trap hazards, as well as humanitarian demining operations. They just got out of their 30-year civil war, so we're working on teaching them safe methods of dealing with all the hazards that are left over from the war. Since Sri Lanka is riddled with minefields, we have a humanitarian demining program that American EOD techs are trained on. It involves the International Mine Action Standard, which is a global standard that is enforced in reference to safety demining procedures. It's the move. If you find one, you have to detonate it where it is. Our job is to come over here and help cross-train with the Sri Lankan Army. For hands-on work, we went and looked at where they're storing all of their ammunition to make sure they're storing it safely. There's no hazards associated with mixing the wrong things you're not supposed to. They do a great job. They have a lot of experience with minefields. Good to share experience with them.
Along with PACOM, 18th Medical Command is the lead unit for the Humanitarian Mine Action Program, which consists of multiple components. EOD has no medical assets on site when they are working with the deminers. So we're teaching the Sri Lankan Army how to prevent injuries while they're on site.
If you have an infant.
So we're here as part of providing the training where their Army Corps of Engineers is learning about how to provide basic life-saving medical skills to their own soldiers. So we were able to teach them chest compressions, breathing assistance, and what to do in a situation if somebody is choking. We did the IV starts, and we were able to do that with the simulated arms that we have brought with us as training aids. Where the spongy part is, it's going to be soft and spongy, but it is very important for them to learn hands-on technique, and they just love that.
We got about 35 minutes till tea time, so.
All right.
I think it's amazing because we've gone from classroom work to practical work, and it's going to culminate now, today, in about an hour and a half with a mass casualty exercise where the Sri Lankan engineers, working with some of their fellow engineers, are going to have a mock disaster where they're going to respond to an explosion. And they're going to test every bit of the training that we've been able to share with them.
The head medic, who actually was the first one to come on the scene and interact with the D-minor guy who saw what was going on. So the head medic now is putting everybody in their prospective places and pretty much overseeing what's got to go on.
The demining mission is absolutely critical to Sri Lanka. This area, of course, had years and years of conflict, and they've got contaminated areas that otherwise would be useful for their people. So they're going out and removing the mines, and therefore the Sri Lankan people can go back and resettle areas that are currently unusable. So they can go back and farm, they can use their lands that they're used to. And I think it's overall a fantastic effort to return Sri Lanka to peace and prosperity. Even though we look different, we wear different uniforms, I think it's wonderful because we approach patient care very similarly. We don't speak the same language, but we are really working together. I think it's just amazing.
And now here's a look at what happened around the Air Force this week in photos.
For 80th Fighter Squadron pilot Major Greg Borland hugs his children Riley and Carter after returning from a deployment. Airman First Class Sean Dugan stands at attention before performing the flag folding ceremony during a 9/11 memorial service at Offutt Air Force Base. Lieutenant Colonel Doug Soho flies co-pilot during the first flight of the final Air Force C-17 Globemaster III at Joint Base Charleston, South Carolina. Just before that flight, the aircraft was rolled off the assembly line at Long Beach, California, celebrating 20 years of delivering C-17s. And that's This Week in Photos. I'm Staff Sergeant Chris Piles.
Coming up, we'll take a look at how the Air Force's only forward surgical team gets the job done in Afghanistan when today's Air Force returns. Welcome back to today's Air Force. I'm Staff Sergeant Sean Hostetler. The Air Force's only forward surgical team has accomplished amazing feats while deployed to Afghanistan, even bringing a soldier back to life an hour after being declared dead. We go now to Ghazni, Afghanistan for a behind-the-scenes look.
We are a forward surgical team, so basically we are the first true medical care that the trauma patient's going to receive after the incident out in the field. And this particular team here, we're the last all Air Force FST in the world.
Typically what happens is we get a call from Ghazni. Usually they'll call us regarding patients that out of their scope of practice, or call the transport team. We'll go pick them up at the gate. Usually the transport team encompasses a provider, 4 techs, and then we bring our interpreter with us as well. We meet the patient at the gate, provide the triages, and we go ahead and depending on what the situation encompasses, we'll go ahead either bring the patient here or depending on the patient, pretty much have the patient go back to Ghazni.
You hear about deployment, you hear about like what's going on, but up until the moment that you're here, up until you have to wear this thing for forever, up until you're getting mortared while you're treating patients, like you'll never understand like really the importance of what we're doing out here. Whether you agree or you don't agree with like the whole politics behind all of it, there's still people that are here that we need to be here to take care of. So I'll take away the importance of everyone's job here. Also the importance of just knowing your job and knowing it well.
While deployed or even at home, sometimes the stress of military life can be overwhelming. For this next piece, we'll go to Mountain Home, Idaho, where airmen share how they were able to build spiritual resiliency during times of need.
Today we're going to be talking about spiritual resiliency. Spiritual resiliency looks different for everyone. It's the idea of what gives your life purpose, meaning, what holds you through life's difficult times. My name is Chaplain Lance Schrader, and the stories you're about to hear are real American airmen, men and women who have answered their nation's call. Today they're going to share their life with you about some difficult times they went through and what saw them through. It may be different for you than it is for them, different for me, but we all need something that we can hold on to, something that brings meaning and purpose to our life. Lou Holtz once said, "It's not the load that breaks you, it's the way you carry it." As you watch and listen to these stories, put yourself in their shoes. What do you have to hold on to when life gets difficult, when the storms are blowing? What holds you secure? What gets you through those dark times when it looks like nothing else will?
My name's Senior Airman Russell Jamieson. When I was 15 years old, I was raised in a home where I had an alcoholic stepmother for 9 years, and I didn't really have much escape growing up. I couldn't play sports, so I reached out and bought a guitar, and I played my heart out every single night, and it became the biggest vent that I could have asked for.
I've been through a lot these past few years, but girl, so have you.
A lot of maintainers use different outlets, alcohol and bars, and I've gone down that road, and I just found it not even a portion of fulfilling as being able to go home and just pour my heart out into a guitar and just play and forget about the entire world. I mean, no matter how stressful of a day I have, it's never too stressful to pick up a guitar and enjoy myself. It helps me to release emotions that I otherwise wouldn't be able to, and it brings me back to my center. It brings me back to who I am, the raw me, and it brings me back to my inner peace. Just keep your head up in hard times. No matter how hard life gets, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's always a means of releasing frustration, and there's healthy ways to do it.
My name is Staff Sergeant Szymanski. I've been through a couple of deployments. I did not know anything about being a combat medic. I've never been outside the wire. All I've known is ER duties and working from Women's Health Clinic. We had this one mission where we lost a couple of soldiers. That was a little bit hard. I just got into thinking that, what if that was me? Now, my boyfriend at that time, he was actually deployed a few times in Iraq and in Afghanistan. He was telling me that there are so many people out there that's gonna need my help, and there's so many of them that you're not gonna be able to save because there's only one you. He told me not to put it on myself. He said I did what I could and that they'll be in better hands. And he just kept talking to me about the whole experience, told me not to keep it all to myself, and that talking about the whole situation will actually make everything better, and it actually did.
I'm Gordon Carpenter. When I was 20 years old, I joined the military in January '98, went to tech school, and our tech school is so long that during the second part of our tech school, your wife or spouse can move down. In that process, my wife was killed in a car accident. Thank goodness my daughter was not in there. Had a year and a half old daughter at the time. My faith was questioned. I wasn't the same person. I wasn't as outgoing. I was angry all the time, mean to my classmates, horrible. It was probably about 4 years later, and something just hit me. It was a sermon at the church, and refound my faith, and came home. I met my current wife like that next day. From that point on, it's just been a blessing. As soon as I did that, my military career skyrocketed. And no matter what your spiritual faith is, no matter what your beliefs are, just know that there are people that have been through the same, maybe not the same circumstances, but find someone to talk to. Don't be afraid of your supervisors. Don't be afraid of your fellow airmen. Reach out and seek help that you need. Nobody's going to judge you.
The stories you just heard are stories of airmen strengthening their spiritual fitness. Spiritual fitness is one of the 4 pillars of the Comprehensive Airman Fitness Program. It's the idea of simply strengthening the things that bring purpose and meaning to your life. It's going to look different for you than it did for the people in our stories today. But ask yourself, what brings purpose and meaning to my life? What gives me hope when life is difficult? And what can I do on a regular basis to strengthen that hope, to see me through life's difficult moments? And whether you're deployed or at home, know that there's a chaplain nearby, a wingman, and a friend ready to help you through your times of need.
And for our last story, we'll end the show on a lighter note, traveling to Osan, Korea for a pool party with a twist.
Among all the timid, wet, and ball-chasing pups at Dog Pool Day, there was Mushu.
As you can see from his gear here, he's always ready for swimming.
Ready for swimming is an understatement. The closing of the pool meant a day in heaven for Mushu. If he could talk, he'd probably say something like,
I want to get in the water right now. Right there. I want to get in. A dog has my ball. I need to go get it. And yeah, I gotta go.
Mushu wasn't the only one grateful for the chance to get his paws wet.
I think this is one of the greatest things here at Osan, well, for dog owners. I just love this, that they have this available.
Although the closing of the pool means the end of summer, events like this one bring the pups and owners together for playtime. Senior Airman Samantha Konechny, Osan Air Base, Republic of Korea.
That does it for this edition of Today's Air Force. From all of us here at the Defense Media Activity at Fort Meade, Maryland, I'm Staff Sergeant Sean Hostetler. Thanks for watching.